One mission. I want to ask you a couple of questions today. The first one is this church valuable? And I don't mean the building. Is this organism, this group of people, these things that we're doing, is this valuable? Do we value this? Would anyone miss us if we were gone? Now, I think a lot of you would miss this if we were gone, whatever that means. But the bigger question is the people out there, the people in our community, the people in Kansas City. Would anyone say, what happened to those amazing Woods Chapel people? Or would we simply just go quietly unnoticed into the night? Is this place worth supporting by your time, talents, and treasure? Today we're going to show you some pictures, some videos, some snapshots, some vignettes of what, just a few of the many things that are happening here in Mission. I want you to see them. I want you to see the value that, I want you to see the hearts and lives that have been changed. And I want you also to recognize that when we act in mission, often we get as much or more than the people that we are helping. Certainly the people on the receiving end get something, but something happens inside of us as well, because in God's economy, we were wired to live generous, giving, caring lives. When we live that kind of life, often we think in mission we're helping someone else. It also helps us, because at the end of the day, we have this feeling. For this we were created. We're going to begin today with a story from the Russia Orphanage Ministry, but I want to tell you a story about the video you're going to see. One of the things I love about our church is watching our children grow up. When we moved here, mine were 6, 5, and 3. Julia Fleener, the young woman in the video, she's probably 24 now, ish. She started attending church here when she was 5 years old. And so you have had a chance to care for her and shape her. And today in the video, we're going to see her talk about her heart for mission and some of what's going on in her life with the Russia Orphanage Ministry. Let's watch.
In Russia, the word orphan is synonymous with the word worthless. For the 700,000 children living in orphanages all over Russia, this mindset wreaks havoc on their self-worth and value as a human being. For the last 7 years, Woods Chapel has sponsored an orphanage in Velokretsia, Russia. Every child at the orphanage has a sponsor here at our church who spent time and energy building a relationship with them. God is using those relationships to bring value and self-worth back into the lives of these amazing kids. I sponsor Vika, a sometimes shy and always artistic girl who feels like a younger sister to me. I started sponsoring Vika when I was only 15 years old. She was 10, and over time, I've seen her grow into a confident young woman ready to start a life of her own. She'll be graduating from the orphanage this year, a year later than expected, because she requested an extra year of tutoring so she'll be able to attend art school at a local university. Last year, she told a Russia team member that if it weren't for our support and encouragement over the last several years, she wouldn't have had the courage to dream about a goal as big as art school. In just a few weeks, I get to meet Vika in person when I travel to the orphanage with this year's Russia team. Because I said yes to God years ago, He was able to use me to make a difference in Vika's life. I can't wait to see what He'll do next.
Another member of our church, Kathy Carter, had been corresponding with one of the children at the orphanage for years. And then a couple of years ago, she made the trip And she said the look on the face of Nastya when she realized this was the person that had been writing to me. This was the person that was sending me gifts. And they've made this trip now halfway around the world to reinforce the message that my life is important. Now, a trip to Russia is a big thing. But whether it's a big thing or a small thing, your efforts make a difference. You realize that sometimes children end up in foster care because the parents can't afford or secure disposable diapers. And so when we have a diaper drive, or when the Baby Grace Place is taking these things to the homes of new mothers, it's an amazing, wonderful, awesome gift that you're giving. Every time you invest in someone else, their lives are better, and we shine the light of Christ. The scripture talks about salt and light. We don't really get salt, except don't put too much on, right? Not supposed to have so much. There's light salt. There's imitation salt. I heard a story recently of a woman who changed the salt in the salt shaker to non-salt without telling her husband, kind of a sneaky health trick, I suspect. But what does it mean? Jesus says you're the salt of the world. Prior to electricity, salt preserved meat and fish. It made it last so that there was protein for the family or for the community for weeks or months. And without the salt to dry and preserve the meat would go bad. So if Jesus was giving the Sermon on the Mount today, he would say, you are the refrigerators of the earth. You preserve things. You keep them cool. You make things healthy. You make things last. You make the good, the nourishment that's here for people available for the future. And if the compressor goes out and it can't be fixed, there's nothing good for it anymore except it goes out to the street and waits for the junk man. So you are the refrigerators of the earth. You preserve the good work of God. And the light, you are the light. I think we all understand light. I wake up in the middle of the night now and I think I need to get a night light because I'm looking around for the switch. We've all groped around in the dark looking for the light. I remember at the old church when we were talking about building here, Dick Burnett, a member who retired and moved to North Carolina, said over and over, this is going to be a light on the hill. And back then I used to think that he was talking about the building. And I want to tell you today, I'm so happy, I'm so pleased for the light and love that pours out of this place to so many people in our community and around the world. Habitat for Humanity is a ministry that many of you are familiar with, that we've been involved with over the years, off and on, and recently, thanks to the leadership of Nicole Fillingham, kind of a resurgence of our connection with Habitat, and again, an opportunity for you to be involved in changing someone's life. Let's watch our story from Habitat.
I'm standing in front of the home of Matrika. She just got a new Habitat for Humanity house this spring, and our church participated in the build so that now, today, she has this beautiful looking home for her and her daughter. Let's meet her and go inside.
Well, I'm Matrika Hornsby, and this is Zaria Smith. We moved into the home in May, like the end of May. I'm very excited about having our own house, and she has her own room, and I have my own room, because before we were in a one-bedroom apartment. I love the kitchen. Like, I just sit in here and I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like, that's my kitchen. It's just been great to have our own space. She play outside now and things like that. So we're very grateful and thankful and appreciative for everyone that's helped. Zaria, like, the construction crews kind of became like a little family. So it was really a great experience. Really enjoyed it a lot. I was here, we knocked down the kitchen and knocked down this wall that was right here and put up siding, and I painted the deck one day, and I mean, we just did all kind of things. I feel like I learned so much from that aspect too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, I can't express how grateful I am to you guys. You guys always came out and were nice and treated me so well and made me feel, you know, just like I was a member of your church. You know, God had a plan, obviously, because it worked out to where we got the 2-bedroom house for me and Zaria. So I just feel like it was God ordained. Like, it just lined up so perfectly that it had to come from him. So I just appreciate all the hard work. Nobody complained. Everybody came out here just ready and willing to work. And I'm very grateful. We're very grateful, because I know without Woods Chapel, it wouldn't have been possible either.
Thank you.
After the camera stopped rolling, Matrika shared the best part of working with the people from our church was that everyone seemed to genuinely care about her and her daughter. And I would love to be able to have interjected in that moment. It's not that it seems to be that way. That's exactly how it is. She said it wasn't a project for them. It wasn't a house or lumber or nails. It was an opportunity to show love and care. They asked about me and my daughter. They asked about our dreams and goals. Isn't that cool? One of the ministries that I have enjoyed watching over the years is the Hillcrest Transitional Housing Ministry, partly because it's a very brave ministry, finding people that are on the streets and helping them transition into self-sufficiency. It's not easy. But it's a very well-run program, and I've been so delighted to watch a number of our people involved with Hillcrest. We sponsor 2 apartments. Many of you have volunteered there. There's a thrift store that I've seen many of you volunteering there, and this is a story from the Hillcrest Transitional Ministry.
90 days at Hillcrest Transitional Housing in Lee Summit can change the life of a family forever. Many homeless families have lived in the apartments sponsored by our church. In exchange for rent-free housing, residents must work full-time and attend weekly life skills meetings, including budget counseling. 95% of graduates of the program are self-reliant after just 90 days. But there is one graduate that stands out and inspires us all. Margaret Andes, a member of our church, was volunteering as a budget counselor and was asked to help Tracy. Margaret wrote the following: "When Tracy came to Hillcrest 5 years ago, she had recently lost custody of her baby son, and her main goal was to get him back. When we met, Tracy wasn't too excited about discussing her finances, but she was willing to do whatever it took to get her son back. So we started meeting on a weekly basis. At first, Tracy didn't trust me, but I showed up each week and took the time to listen. I shared my life experiences with her. I held her accountable for her decisions and helped her to understand the importance of taking responsibility, not just for her money, but for her life. I could be a friend that could love her even when she couldn't love herself." Today, Tracy is still an inspiration to me. She has kept custody of her son, and he will be celebrating his 6th birthday this year. I recently helped her celebrate her graduation from a technical school, which is going to allow her to double her hourly wage. And the most important reason Tracy inspires me is she likes herself and has chosen to help others in the same way she was helped, by holding them accountable for their decisions, sharing her life experiences, and loving them when they cannot love themselves. My prayer for everyone who hears this story is that you choose to get out of your comfort zone and use your gifts or whatever you are passionate about to invest in someone that needs your love. Last week, a new resident moved into the Woods Chapel apartment at Hillcrest. Tracy will be working with them and investing herself in them, just like Margaret invested herself in Tracy.
This is not easy work. Not everyone completes the program. Not everyone is appreciative of the kindness that you show. Sometimes people will take advantage of your generosity. And I have people ask me, why should we give? so many people are just taking advantage. You know, Jesus didn't ask us to measure what happened to the people as much as he asked us to pour ourselves out to them. And personally, over the years, I have decided that it's far better to help one time too many and have someone take advantage of me or us than to hold back the heart of mercy that God has given us for someone who truly is in need. Every time you choose to step out of your world, every time you choose to reach into the world of another person, you are entering the world of the Spirit. This is God's work, being the hands and feet of Jesus to the least of these. Over the past few years, we have made a difference in Nicaragua, in the village of Los Pinos, then La Corona, and soon La Prada. Please understand that when we invest in someone else, so much more comes back to us. The many that have been on the trips to Nicaragua, I think, would tell you that we have benefited ourselves so much from the relationships, from the opportunities to care. Let's take a moment to watch Dory's story from Los Pinos.
On my first trip to Nicaragua in 2014, we played baseball with the kids in Los Pinos. One of the girls that played was Dory Luz Davila. She was full of energy and she could hit the ball. I had no idea that Dory suffered from malnutrition as a baby, and it is a miracle that she is alive today. One in 3 Nicaraguan children have some degree of chronic malnutrition. Parents simply don't have enough food to feed their kids. But Dory's story was even more unique. At birth, Dory only weighed 2.5 pounds. Fitting in the palm of a hand, she had to be fed with a syringe. Dory's single mom worked the coffee fields, so her grandparents had decided to take care of her. With their income only $20 a month, they didn't have the resources to take Dory to the hospital. Thankfully, a Rainbow Network doctor visited Los Pinos in early 2002, and Dory's grandmother brought her to see that doctor. Dory was 3 months old, and she still only weighed 5 pounds. She had serious skin problems and couldn't eat or drink, suffering from malnutrition and dehydration so severe that she cried without tears. She was only a couple days from death before the Rainbow Network doctors helped nurse her back to life. Today, Dory is 14 years old and has started her first year of high school. She walks a mile to school each day. She attends school on a Rainbow Network scholarship, which is provided by one of our own church members. She likes listening to music, helps with chores, and studies hard. She works afternoons at the family's small grocery store in their home, funded by a Rainbow Network microloan. She has taken an English class at school. Her goal in 2015 is to get good grades. Her family is very supportive of her education because they want a better future for her. She dreams of becoming a nurse or a doctor so that she can help other people and help take care of her family. Dory's family is very grateful for the gift of this special child, who they say, through the help of God and the Rainbow Network, will live a normal life. Dory wrote in her last letter to her sponsor that she is a blessed girl, and she is so thankful to God and for her health and for her life. We pray for a happy, healthy future for Dory. She is truly a miracle.
One of the wonderful things of being in mission is getting to know the people and being in relationship with them. Funny story about Dory. We were playing baseball, and Tim Wiseman was pitching, and I was catching. That's my skill level. And I noticed she had her hands wrong. Somebody had taught her. Of course, she'd never held a real bat before because they were playing with a stick. She got her hands wrong. Man, she could hit the ball. And I thought, boy, if we just told her how to hold her hands right, she could, well, once she did that, she couldn't hit the ball anymore. So we let her go back to the way she'd learned to do it. But so many of the members of the community that we've gotten to know, and I know so many of you feel a kinship to those that you've reached out to. Angelita Davila is Dory's grandmother, and she's the president of the village. And you will not meet such a warm, generous, kind, and gracious person, still living in the house with the dirt floor, because she wanted others in the village to get the new homes. Going hungry at times so that her husband, who works the coffee fields, can always have a good lunch. She who does these things lost her 22-year-old daughter, Margene, last year to a liver and immune system disease, and we grieved with her. And in spite of all this, her heart is full of love for God, and she prays for us, and she prays for you, that your hearts will continue to pour out in grace, not just to Los Pinos, but to everyone, everywhere. She has written a letter to thank you that we share with you now.
Before our partnership with Rainbow Network and Woods Chapel Church, Los Pinos was very different. There was a sense of discouragement throughout the community, and many families had lost hope of a better future. The primary schools did not have adequate materials to run their classes, and secondary school students were unable to attend school because their families could not afford the tuition expenses and school supplies. Most families had no economic opportunities. However, God is miraculous and sent us Rainbow Network and our friends from Woods Chapel Church. We thank God for them and ask Him to bless them always. Their continued presence in Los Pinos has provided the families a sense of support and a hope for a better future. We have seen our community change in ways we never thought would be possible. For instance, the housing project was important to the families in the community because the homes that they lived in were in such poor condition. Others did not actually have homes and were living as squatters. We also completed a water project providing clean drinking water for the community, and we know this will provide better health and save lives. I could continue with many wonderful things that have happened throughout our partnership with Rainbow Network and Woods Chapel Church. I dedicate the ABCs of friendship. Now, this part is a poem that's known to the people of Los Pinos, and when it's written in Spanish, the key words follow the alphabet from A to Z, but when it's translated in English, it doesn't follow that way. A friend is one who looks for your affection and wishes enthusiastically for your happiness, giving you encouragement to live. They make impossible things possible and take risks for you, giving you kilos of love and endless loyalty to your friendship. Friends do not leave you behind. They forget disagreements and love you without restrictions. They give you their heart, know how to forgive, always remember you, and unite without division. Friends overcome solitude for you, and most of all, know how to dive into your heart.
When we were saying goodbye on our very first trip, Angelita and Victorino, the village leaders, asked me if we would be back. They asked because so many wealthy Americans had wandered through their village making promises never to return. I knew the answer to their question, would we come back? Would we support them? I knew the answer, but I could not give them the answer because it's not up to me. It's up to you, every single one of you, every single day, to what extent we choose to throw ourselves into the work of Jesus Christ. Over the past couple of months, I've watched the phone ring here, and our pastors and staff go out on calls to care for people, to be with the dying. Not just our pastors and staff, though. I've watched as many of you have gone to put your arms around others that were hurting. It's a very, very important thing that we do. And it's not just for those that we know or for those that are close to us, but every heart that's hurting needs someone to care. We're going to close with a story from a longtime member who has navigated a very difficult situation in the last year. Let's watch.
Good morning. My name is Sherry Swanson. On April 1st of last year, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. When I got the news, I thought, you've got to be kidding me. It had just been a year and a half before that my husband, Matt, had been in a hunting accident and fallen 18 feet from a tree stand, and he broke both his legs and his back. We had just spent over a year praying and working to see his health restored, and now this. I'd lost both my parents, and our lives were crazy with our kids in high school at the time. I was just not ready for more bad news. I prayed to God to help me. Friends, I can't tell you how blessed we are to be part of a church that reaches out and puts its arms around those in need. From the Cancer Connection to my friends in the office, the people on staff, and so many of you, I was blessed and cared for every step of my journey. During my treatment, about 8 months ago, I got some difficult news that I had an infection, and I found out that I was going to have to go back into the hospital, yet for another surgery. I was walking in the lobby of KU and randomly ran into Jeff, who was visiting another patient. He listened to my story, he hugged me, and we cried. He encouraged me to continue on. All of you have encouraged me to continue on. With your help and the support of my family and my friends, I received the treatments I needed. I held on to my faith, and I leaned into the loving arms of our God. Today, I'm pleased to tell you that I'm finished with my chemo, I'm finished with my radiation, and all my surgeries, and I've been declared cancer-free. I'm happy, and I'm thankful, and I'm so incredibly grateful. If you're wondering if this church is worth supporting, I want you to know that it is. I love this place, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for every way you've reached out and loved me.
This is the work of Jesus Christ. And I'm inviting all of you to choose again this day to place your time and effort behind that which is important to the heart of God, so that we can be a church that's known for grace, for love, for caring service to others, and the love of Christ will shine bright. Let's pray.